Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. Dr. Mark here. So excited to hang out with you tonight. We got a lot of great stuff to cover. We'll wait just a minute to let some other people come on. If you are just joining us, let us know where you're watching from. Throw a comment on there. I should be able to see the comments. I'm working through between two different screens here, so bear with me. Okay, we're going to get started. And as people join us, welcome. Comment where you're watching from. Give us a like, throw a thumbs up on there. Um, if you're watching this on recording, do that too. Want to know where people are watching this from and how far we're getting this out there to the community. But welcome everybody, Max Living Warriors, RFC family. So before we get started, I want to tell you a story. And a few years back, maybe many of you know this, a lot of you maybe don't, but I went through a severe health challenge where I went through a toxin-induced brain injury, and it resulted from a combination of mold toxicity, Lyme, heavy metals, and limbic impairment all at the same time. And I had over 30 different symptoms going on at the same time for about 2 years. And one of the hardest things that I had going on was my inability to sleep. I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't stay asleep. It was night after night, week after week, and it turned into month after month of just not being able to sleep. And the one thing that if I could ask for one thing during that time, it would have been sleep. And that's all that I wanted to do was to be able to lay down and go to sleep. And so sometimes I'd go multiple days in a row, sometimes entire weeks without sleeping more than an hour or so at night. And so when nighttime would roll around, when it would start to get dark out, I knew what was coming, and it was there was so much anxiety in me. Like my family would go to bed and they'd go to sleep. The rest of the neighborhood would go to bed and go to sleep. The whole world was going to lie down and fall asleep and then wake up the next morning. And I was just awake the whole time. So frustration doesn't even begin to describe my sleep issues that were going on throughout that season. And so I really want to be sensitive to all of you who are here because if you do have sleeping issues, whether it be extreme and severe like I had, or even if it's just something that's been really frustrating you, um, I'll spare you a lot of the details and the description of how that season was for me. I think you could probably imagine, but some of what we go over today might be potentially triggering for you, because we're going to talk about the damaging effects of poor sleep. But what I want you to do is stay tuned because we're going to get into the hope for how to heal your nervous system, heal your body, get your hormones working for you, not against you, so that you can sleep again. All right. Just know though that I personally have known sleeping problems firsthand, and that's in a very, very real way. And here's the beauty of that, the position that I'm in now, when you're up all night, every night for 2 years, there's a lot of friggin' time to read and research and wrap your mind around what sleep really is and how to go about achieving sleep. I read countless books, articles, research studies. What I love about having gone through the neuroscience undergrad at Michigan is that I can interpret research. And so I can open up research studies and really get a feel for exactly what it was that they're getting at. And so let's get started. I want to get to first, just what is the mission that we're on? Here's the thing. So lots of sleeping issues are out there. There's lots of dysfunction out there. Confusion, frustration. And I hear all the time people have doctor visit after doctor visit after doctor visit, and they have no answers, whether it's sleeping issues or any other type of health problem. But the answers that they are getting are, I don't know what's going on with you. I'm sorry. Take this pill for the symptoms. There's really not any hope for correcting root causes. Root causes aren't even really addressed. So there's no hope for healing from the inside out. And it's just so depressing to live in that merry-go-round of symptom treatment, and disease management. And so my mission is to help people to the other side of the fence when it comes to their health, when it comes to their philosophy of health. And whereas we by default opt into the medical system of taking medications for symptoms and then surgeries and more medications and more jabs, and that's the only way that it goes. We default to that system unless we opt out of it and opt into something different. My mission and why I do what I do is to help people opt out of that system and opt into something that's better. And what's better is what we're going to go over tonight. This is what's changed my life, what's changed my family's life. This is why we do workshops. And by the way, with this workshop, it's the only one where I won't be offended if you fall asleep during the talk, because that would be a great thing. And you've got it recorded so you can watch the rest later. But yeah, just don't fall asleep during my live ones. That'd be kind of a bummer. But let's get right into this. Is what we're going to learn today. This is what we're going to get into. Part one is going to be why do we sleep and what really is sleep altogether? What is happening when we're sleeping? Part two, we're going to get into what causes sleeping problems and some of those specifics that you guys requested to talk about. I've got planned out. And then part three is tips and strategies for amazing sleep. So you're going to want to hang around until part three. So pop a bowl of popcorn, pour a glass of wine, and hopefully we can have a little bit of fun with this as well. All right. Now, we aren't sleeping like we need to. So this is one of the most common functional complaints that I hear from patients. And sleep is just so essential. Yet, what is it? 50 to 70 million Americans have sleep disorders. One in every three adults don't get enough adequate amounts of sleep. 40% of adults are accidentally falling asleep during the day. So sleep is an issue. It's not something that's going well right now, especially not for Americans. And lack of sleep, it's not just about feeling more awake the next day. This is the time when your body heals. This is when you recover and restore your normal functions. It's built into our innate mechanisms. So when it's interfered with, consequences start building in your body over time. Anytime an innate mechanism that is built into our bodies is interfered with, there's consequences to that. So the closer we can live to the natural order, the more we can allow these processes to carry out normally. Now, here's the deal. Routinely sleeping less than 6 hours a night weakens your immune system, which increases your risk of certain cancers, increases your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. We're going to talk about why. It disrupts your blood sugars almost to the point of putting you in like a pre-diabetic state. Even moderate reductions of sleep do that. Increases your likelihood of coronary arteries being blocked and brittle, and it sets you on a path to cardiovascular disease, stroke, congestive heart failure. Also, it contributes to all major psychiatric conditions. So this is what you know: depression, anxiety. People that don't sleep, they don't feel good. They're not happy. They're not excited for the day. They're anxious. And even suicidal ideation is linked to poor sleep. So some signs that you need better sleep. A lot of people are brushing off their sleep problems. Here's some warning signs that might wake you up to the problem. So these aren't the problems. These are the signals of the problem. And here are 9 signals or signs that you need better sleep. Number 1, your blood pressure starts to increase. Could be from poor sleep. You're unable to focus or remember. You get frequent coughs or colds. You sleep late on weekends. That's a big indicator. Your blood sugar is starting to creep up. You can't shed weight no matter what you do. I eat healthy. I do exercise. I work out. I do everything. I'm on keto, whatever. Can't drop the weight. Won't be able to if you're not sleeping well. Um, Consume caffeine daily. You can't stop hitting the snooze button. You're irritable or you're moody. The significance of sleep, it extends beyond just duration. So quality of sleep plays such a vital role. So your restfulness and your daytime functionality hinges not only on the amount of sleep that you're getting, but the distribution of the different sleep stages and whether you're getting into those deeper stages. This is an article that came out, says new study that says lack of sleep makes your brain eat itself. And while that just sounds crazy, it's like, well, what is that even talking about? What's behind that article headline? And it's this right here. It's called your glymphatic system, not your lymphatic system. Put a G at the front. Glymphatic system. Your mind actually releases things that it's built up all day long when you are in deep sleep. So it's like you worry, 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 you stress, you're overwhelmed, emotions are going crazy. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. I tell my kids that if he's my 7-year-old starts freaking out and he's at night and it's just getting nuts and he's laughing, crying, he's all emotional. Dude, go to bed. Like we innately know you gotta just go to sleep. Why is that? That's when those stresses and worries are chemically released from your brain. So, most of all, this is when your brain detoxifies. So, we're talking biotoxins, heavy metals, even infectious bacteria. Anything toxic that's built up in the brain gets released through the glymphatic system while you are in deep sleep. That's called glymphatic flow. Now, as you can see in the picture there, when you're asleep, those channels open up and it can drain. When you're awake, they stay closed. So if you never get into deep sleep, those channels never really open enough to drain it, so you end up building up more and more toxins. One of those toxic, sticky proteins that build up in your brain is called beta amyloid. Beta amyloid, which maybe some of you recognize it. It's one of the leading underlying causes of Alzheimer's. So the longer you go without getting adequate sleep, the more amyloid builds up night after night, year after year in your brain. Very important to understand that. It's different also between men and women. Okay. So females, women, men and women are different. We can all agree. Okay, good. Females will innately get about 7.8 hours of sleep average each night. Males will innately get 7.7 hours, which you're like, "Oh, that's just like that's no big deal." But if you think about it, it's about 20 to 40 minutes of difference. So, let's say a married couple goes to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. It's not totally trivial. Females have a higher percentage of non-REM, deep sleep than males. Okay, so that's the deep non-REM sleep. Females are more likely to suffer from insomnia, but males are more likely to suffer from sleep apnea. Females have a greater buildup of sleep pressure. I'm going to talk to you guys about what sleep pressure is. I can't wait to talk about that because of a compound called adenosine, so that they can get into deeper REM sleep quicker than men can. And I know that it's like I've seen that before. My wife will like go to sleep and she'll be into deep REM sleep in no time. Like she won't wake up. There'd be a loud banger, shut the door, or something. She won't wake up. It's like she's already deep into sleep. I can't get into deep sleep that quickly. So I've seen this at work. And this is innate intelligence at work for women to be able to get into deep sleep earlier. Why is that? Well, think about it. First of all, females are more prone to have anxiety, and deep sleep serves as an anxiety lytic, meaning it breaks the anxiety and resets you for the next day. Anxiety it has an anxiety quieting benefit to decrease and dissipate the anxiety from the previous day. So think about it, that's homeostasis at work. That's innate um that's innate intelligence happening because the system is responding to the needs of the organism when everything's connected. Your body's geared towards bringing things back into balance if we can just get out of the way and then just remove the interference to allow it to get on its way. So here's the thing with men. Oh, men need less sleep. Well, don't take that. We mentioned it's about 20 minutes less on average. So this whole idea of this tough guy that can run on 3 or 4 hours of sleep, or even like, hey, all I need is 5 hours of sleep. I'm tough. I get the job done. I just work, work, work. So that sounds tough, but it's really not. That badge of honor of I can run on 5 hours of sleep should be long gone after some of the recent research that's come out. Men who sleep 5 or 6 hours a night have the levels of testosterone of a man who is 10 years his senior. 10 years older is the amount of testosterone that someone has if they don't cultural thing that says I'm not into that for like 1 day. That's a good idea, right? If you need to push through for a day, um, then go for it. Say, "I got all the sleep I need, uh, let's go, let's get after it." But it's not a healthy plan, and so if you want good testosterone, and if you really wanna feel like a man, mental sharpness, muscle, strength, libido, sexual performance, um, you want you don't want, inadequate sleep. You wanna be sleeping properly. And then it changes with age. It's not just sex, but age. So the different ages, and I'll make this big so you guys can see this. Sleep changes dramatically with age. So newborns, 14 to 17 hours of sleep. Now, is that all together? All of us parents at the same time? No, that is not all together. It's polyphasic, meaning they sleep, they wake up, they sleep, they wake up, as we parents know. So it can be tough to adapt to that season because it's not continuous sleep. We aren't polyphasic, right? We sleep once, maybe twice with a nap in the afternoon, which I'll get to. So this is where the highest percentage of sleep is REM sleep in babies and infants. The brain is developing so rapidly, it needs more of that deep sleep. So this is where the connectivity of the brain is built. It's like a city is being built in the baby's brain with roads and electrical wires, and this is when that city is growing and being built. This is when that happens. And over half of Americans are getting over half of Americans are not getting 8 hours of sleep. One in every three are getting less than six. Get this, in 1942, so back in 1942, Gallup did a poll, and the average American adult was sleeping 7 hours, 55 minutes. That sounds like a great night of sleep. What you want to be shooting for as an adult, 7 or more hours of sleep. Ideally, the 7 to 9 is the range that you typically see. Everyone's a little bit different, but 7 to 9. So it was 7 hours 55. Now the average amount of sleep is 6 hours 31 minutes for the average American adult. It has decreased by about an hour and a half. And what about people that say they just don't really need sleep? They can get up 5 hours and they get up feel great. Just like I said with the testosterone. Dr. Matt Walker, he wrote the book Why We Sleep. He's a PhD. This is all he studies. He's a neuroscientist. This is his quote. The number of people who can sleep on 6 hours of sleep or less, showing no impairment, rounded to a whole number expressed as a percentage, is zero. Zero. It's like that drunk guy at the bar who says he's fine to drive. And you're like, dude, you are not fine to drive. Give me your keys right now. And he's like, no, 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 I'm good to drive. And it's like that's like the guy who says he's fine on 5 hours of sleep. He's not fine. He just doesn't realize because he's sleep deprived. He doesn't understand it, but he doesn't realize the deficits that are happening cognitively, energetically, hormonally, sharpness, emotional regulation, stability, social engagement, all these different things that just go to the wayside when you don't get sleep. Now, to get to the different stages of sleep, you have your light sleep. That's when you first kind of fall asleep. You can be woken up. You're just sort of relaxed. It's just sort of drowsy. That's sort of where it's at. And then you get into deep sleep. That's your non-REM deep sleep. Core temperature starts to drop, and the deep non-REM sleep and the REM sleep, they kind of go back and forth and they sort of battle back and forth like a push pull throughout the night. And you have about 3 to 5 of those cycles between two and three, between number two and number three there. And a key function of deep non REM sleep is to do the work of weeding out and removing any unnecessary neural connections. So it's like reflecting on the day and letting go of things that are unnecessary and not beneficial to keep on your mind. So this is the time when your mind is releasing all of the things it's built up all day long. Perpetual worry, mind racing. This is when it's chemically released. REM sleep, the dreaming stage of REM sleep, plays an important role in strengthening those good connections. So that leads to an emotionally stabilizing effect. So your nervous system is healing during REM sleep. It's reintegrating, reconnecting its connections. And non-REM Sleep happens earlier in the night. REM is a little bit later, and again, it cycles about 3 to 5 times over a good 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you're only getting 1 to 2 of those cycles, you're not hitting that zone where your nervous system is healing. You're not getting that deep, emotionally stabilizing effect where you're chemically releasing worry and mind racing that's happening. And this all blends into the different rhythms, not just sleep and wakefulness, but circadian rhythms are they play a role in your entire body's health. So we all have a 24-hour clock that lives deep within our brain. And that creates this cycling day night rhythm. It makes you feel tired or alert, but at regular times. So, circadian, the word circadian, I like to break words down. So, give me a second here. Circa means around, and DN means day, comes from DM. So, DN, day. Internal clock that communicates this rhythm and this signal to every region of your brain and every organ in your body. So it's not just sleep, it controls other rhythmic patterns, eating times and hunger, your mood and your emotions. They're on a rhythm. Your hormones, especially mentioned testosterone. Testosterone is on a circadian rhythm. Um, Core body temperature is a huge one. That happens uh, on a 24-hour clock regardless. Metabolic rate, how much you're burning calories. And what's so interesting, if you look at this, the early afternoon, it shows your best coordination, athletic performance. The likelihood of breaking Olympic records is tied to a time of the day, which is maximal at that natural peak of circadian rhythm in the early afternoon. Even times of birth and times of death are linked to these rhythms. My wife, Janelle, goes into labor at midnight every time. She goes into labor at midnight. That's the rhythm that works with her body. So what you want to do is what this points to is, man, we should respect our innate intelligence. Like God designed our bodies so perfectly and interconnected, and everything is thought of. Every tiny detail, all of the rhythms, all the timing. We should respect that innate intelligence. And when we go against that, it throws not only our bodies off, but it throws our whole lives off. I did research at University of Michigan, and I was in the psychology department, biopsychology, which meant we were studying. At this one study was a circadian rhythm study actually, and it was rats in and the rats in 24 hours of blackness versus rats with light for half the time. And my job was to go and flip the lights on like at certain times, sometimes in the middle of the night. Sometimes I forgot. Anyways, whatever. Um, their blood work showed that there were rhythms at play even if they had total darkness 24 hours a day. There were still these 24-hour rhythms for these rats. And the blood work showed that hormones were changing still. So there's a self-generated internal clock within us that gets this done. And that's where melatonin comes in. I get asked about melatonin all the time. Well, what are people usually asking? They're asking about the supplement. They're saying, "Well, what about should I take melatonin?" But the brain actually instructs the release of melatonin into the bloodstream, and that is triggered by darkness. Darkness is what stimulates melatonin release. And melatonin doesn't actually generate sleep. It regulates the timing of when sleep starts, of when sleep occurs. That's what melatonin does. It's a misnomer to think that that melatonin is what keeps us asleep or helps us sleep. It's not a powerful sleep aid in of itself at all. It just initiates the sleep process, which is why it works great for jet lag. So here's the deal, it regulates the timing of when sleep occurs. So it takes the darkness or the lack of light, it takes the lack of light and it signals to the whole body to start getting sleepy. Okay. And so that's why it works so well with something like jet lag. Let's say you fly from, example that I just know is an 8 hour flight. So it's California to Japan. So you get that 8 hour flight. So it's like it takes about a whole day to change your circadian rhythm for melatonin by 1 hour. So at an 8-hour flight through 8 hours of time zones, it would take you 8 days, 8 full days to make up those hours. And so you better stay for a while unless you were to use melatonin to kind of trigger that and stimulate that, and that's where it can help. Now, melatonin peaks at about 4 a.m., and it's gonna start getting produced in the evening time if you know how to stimulate its production, which I'm gonna get to that in just a little bit here. And this is what's so cool. Light on your eyeballs starts our clock. So in the morning, it's like winding your watch. You go outside, you start getting light into your eyes, even if it's overcast, it just takes a little bit longer. Let's call it 10 minutes indirect light from the sun or 20 minutes overcast indirect light to your eyes, and it will stimulate this part of your brain. It's called the chiasmatic nucleus, SCN. Don't worry about it, but that'll start creating this energized feeling through serotonin. When it's dark, your SCN is triggered and stimulated also from darkness, and that stimulates melatonin to be produced so you can start to feel sleepy. All right, so that's how that signaling works, and that's what melatonin really is. And melatonin responds to and is synced up with something called sleep pressure. Okay, so there's a pressure that builds up in our brains and our bodies to fall asleep. You've felt this before. And so sleep pressure has to do with a chemical called adenosine. And adenosine builds up in your brain throughout the day. So as you're awake, every minute that you're awake, you're building up more adenosine. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine will accumulate. And it's responding to how long time has elapsed um, since you woke up in the morning. As it builds up throughout the day, it increases your desire to sleep. So that's known as your sleep pressure. And when adenosine concentrations peak, when they hit that high peak in your brain, it's this irresistible urge to fall asleep is what takes hold. This is that whole like, man, it just hit me. I got to go to bed. What is that? That's when your sleep pressure, your adenosine hit its peak. And it's usually 12 to 16 hours after of being awake. So 12 to 16 hours after you woke up in the morning, you're going to hit that adenosine peak. And this is huge for those of you that have a hard time sleeping or you're just struggling with getting to sleep at night. If you can understand the adenosine flow in your brain and how to keep your adenosine building throughout the day, you can return to getting that really nice, appropriate drowsy feeling at night. So then, if that's what adenosine does, what do you think caffeine does? It blocks adenosine, right? And so that's exactly what's happening. There's these receptors for adenosine, and caffeine will they will attach to the receptors for adenosine. It battles with the adenosine for that receptor site, and the receptor grabs the caffeine, and then the caffeine inactivates the adenosine flow. So now it blocks that sleepiness signal that should be communicated to the brain as the day is going on. So now you get into the evening time and you're not tired. Why is that? Because there's caffeine circulating through your blood. It's blocking your ability to generate sleep pressure. So it tricks you, caffeine does, into feeling alert and awake. And and I mean, caffeine's the biggest drug. It's the most widely used and abused psychoactive psychoactive stimulant in the world. That's what caffeine is. And so and that's how it works. And so if you think about it, a cup of coffee at 7:30 p.m., let's say, you drink a cup of coffee after dinner. Now, caffeine has it'll peak its ability to make you feel alert or block the adenosine will peak at about 30 minutes after you drink it. That's when, like, you're flying high. You can take over the world 30 minutes after drinking a good cup of coffee, right? I love a good cup of coffee too. But the half-life of this is way longer. So after you've had that big peak, it takes 5 to 7 hours for half of the caffeine to be eliminated from your body, to be cleared and removed. And it doesn't mean the other half doesn't do anything at all. The other half takes about that much time too. So you're dealing with an entire day of caffeine just blocking your adenosine sleep pressure, even if you drink it in the morning. So sleep becomes difficult because there's these opposing forces against your sleep pressure. So a cup of coffee at 7:30 p.m., you go to the 5 to 7 hour half-life, by 1:30 a.m., the half-life of that caffeine is still active and circulating throughout your brain. Even if you're not feeling caffeine buzzed, even if you're not feeling alert, your brain and adenosine receptors are still dealing with that caffeine. So that's why, a good rule of thumb, you got to decide for yourself, but good rule of thumb for me is I don't want to drink caffeine after noon because I want to make sure that by the time nighttime comes, I get the kids to bed, my sleep pressure is still going to kick on. I'm not going to be interfered with where then I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning just because I had coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon or whatever. And everyone's a little bit different with their sensitivity to caffeine based on the amount of enzymes that you genetically have to be able to break it down. But in general, it's that 5 to 7 hour half-life. And it's not just sleep pressure. Caffeine actually messes with your hormones too. And one of those hormones is cortisol. It's known as the stress hormone, but it has a bad reputation because it's not just about stress. It's produced in part by the adrenal glands. And so when we're under pressure and we perceive a threat, it's that fight or flight mode that kicks on. And fight or flight is intelligent. It's a positive reaction in your body. You need it. If you think about for emergencies, you need threat mode to kick on so that you can put a bunch of energy into surviving. Exercising really hard. You need cortisol for that. And it actually helps you to feel good. It's not a bad hormone. It actually helps you feel happy if it's released at the right times. Even Sarah Godfrey, Dr. Sarah Godfrey, she authored the Hormone Reset Diet book. She calls cortisol the control system for hormones. So it's she says it's getting your blood pressure up only when it needs to be up. It raises your blood sugar only when you most need it. It modulates your whole immune system. So if you're being chased by a bear and cortisol goes up, good. That's good. Fight or flight is what you need in that moment. But our fight or flight can be constant because we live abnormally fast paced lives, abnormally high pressure lives, and we do too much caffeine. And it keeps your cortisol at an elevated state when it should be coming down. So, what do you mean should be coming down? Well, let me show you. Here is a healthy adrenal cortisol pattern. So, cortisol, a normal curve for maintaining good, steady energy looks a little bit like this. You should have cortisol following a pattern called the cortisol curve. It should be highest in the morning, but not first thing in the morning. It should be highest about 8 a.m. is the idea. That's when cortisol should be at its peak. And that helps us stay focused during the morning, throughout the day, and then it gradually tapers off throughout the afternoon, and then the evening goes way down. And that's at the same time when melatonin should come up and your adenosine sleep pressure should peak, and boom, you get great sleep. It's like a slow release energy pill that wears off right in time for you to go to bed. If you wake up though, because I said 8 a.m., if you're waking up at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and you're in a state of anxiety already, then your cortisol is spiking too early. Your mind is racing when you wake up, you're edgy, you're irritable in the morning, your energy crashes at late morning, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. That means you have poor cortisol pattern. And here's one of those that's called adrenal fatigue. So this is where it gets into high evening cortisol levels. You got that spike too early, then you crash, and then you do coffee or your stress starts building up and it starts building more cortisol throughout the day and into the evening. So if you're the type that has high evening cortisol, it's like you might have adrenal fatigue if you're up late at night after 9 p.m. having heated political arguments on social media, or if you like to do heavy workouts in the gym late night. I used to do that when I was in college. You do your cortisol is skyrocketing when it should be coming down and calming down. Other indicators of this pattern here, falling asleep can take you hours. You're just lying there, you're tossing and turning. You can't quite get sleepy. Or you wake up a few hours after falling asleep and you're awake during that weird, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. time, and it's hard to get back to sleep. Why is that? That's partly stress cortisol pattern. Or you worry in the evenings. You tend to rehash the mistakes you made or the things that are failing, or you're worrying about the next day. And then you decide to distract yourself by spending more time online or watching TV because you feel like you have to do something to wind yourself down because it's not winding down on its own. That is an unhealthy cortisol pattern. And that's low sleep pressure and it's nervous system stress. So it's all those things together. The core of that is neurological stress. And then the last pattern here, this is extreme fatigue. So this is where this is like adrenal exhaustion altogether. So it's not just produced in a response to stress. Chronic stress is putting it into overdrive. So you've got um, just chronic work deadlines and not sleeping enough and too much coffee on a daily basis. So then you start feeling hyper and exhausted at the same time. And people might comment on how fast you're talking. You might be easily irritated. You don't have very much enthusiasm for anything. You're just not feeling right. You're just wound up, and you're always wound up. And if you even if you have a weekend, you can't seem to relax. Even if you go on vacation, you're sitting on the beach, you're still noticing that your mind is racing. You can't seem to relax. So can lead to high blood pressure and cholesterol issues, elevated inflammation too, um, decreased blood flow to your gut, so then it decreases digestion. So this is bad stuff. This cortisol pattern, and it's a direct reflection of nervous system health. And so, can napping help this? I was asked about napping, so I wanted to dive into napping a little bit here. So, what if I take a 2-hour nap during the middle of the day? Let's say I didn't sleep last night and I was up from 1 to 3:30 because of this cortisol crap. And so I want to, well, if I just nap, then I'll catch up on my sleep and it's hour for hour, but it's not hour for hour. It doesn't make up for everything. Napping can absolutely improve learning, alertness, memory, concentration, and even your emotional regulation too. If you take a nap in the middle of the day and you're able to handle stresses better at night or in the afternoon, that's great. Good for you. That does happen, but you can't regain the deep sleep that you lost the night before by napping each day. It's not hour for hour because what you're giving up is deep REM sleep and cycle 3, 4, and 5 of your night that you're trying to make up with a 20-minute or even an hour-long nap where you're not getting any REM. And sleep isn't like the bank. You can't keep up with the debt. You can't accumulate sleep debt and then try to pay it back over the weekend. So this crushes the whole idea of catching up on sleep. You'll sleep a little bit more, but you can't make up what was lost neurochemically and hormonally from a bad night of sleep. And why isn't there like a you'd think that, oh geez, our bodies should have like a checks and balances system. I always talk about how smart the body is to put up with inadequate sleep. But it's really because we're the only species and we're probably the only culture and society in history that deliberately delays sleep. I mean, what did they do without caffeine? Caffeine was the start of that. It was the light bulb, which allowed for light at night, and then caffeine, which allowed people to work third shifts. And it was like, and then changing their whole sleep schedule around. And none of that stuff is natural. If you work third shift, it's fine. There's ways to go about it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it goes against the natural order to not sleep when it's time to sleep, and that's just a biological and just an inherent fact. And the rhythms are different for everybody. So So like my rhythms aren't your rhythms. Um, there's actually a certain percentage of the population that reaches their peak wakefulness in the morning. They like mornings. I have friends like this. I say that because this isn't me, but to get up really, really early, they do the 5 a.m. CrossFit workout when they're deadlifting at 5:05 a.m. It's like, that is not for me, but they're the morning person or the morning lark. That's 40%. 30% are more energized in the evening. They're the night owls. They get their ideas in the evening. They get kind of fired up about things late at night. Doesn't necessarily mean they have a cortisol issue, but they're just more energized in the evening. And then 30% fall somewhere in between with a slight lean towards evening. That's probably me if I could just share that because I like mornings a lot and I like evenings too. And I can kind of do one or the other. But I'm definitely not the morning lark that loves the super, super early morning, can think really clearly early morning. My clearest thoughts happen a little bit after that early time. And a lot of this is just determined by genetics. So don't be discouraged. Like our society and the work schedules put night owls at a disadvantage, and it really favors those who are more energized in the morning. And there's just this whole success mindset culture, which is the earlier you wake up, the more successful you're going to be. That is not necessarily true. You get a night owl to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, uh, trying to become like some entrepreneurial success. That's not going to work for him. You got to do what is within the flow of your body's rhythms. Hopefully that frees some of you and gives you some freedom there. And poor sleep is the oil light. It's the warning sign. What does that mean? It means it's a signal of poor health. It's not the problem. Poor sleep was not my problem. My problem was that I had an overactive stressed nervous system. Yeah, it was caused by some different interferences, but when your nervous system gets interfered with, your hormones, your signaling, your adrenal glands, they don't work right. They don't signal properly. And so you'll end up with poor sleep, but the sleep problem is just the warning in of itself. And so where does that interference come from? It comes from lack of the 5 essentials. Lack of the 5 essentials causes dysfunction that leads to disease. That's why they're essential. It's not like extra. These aren't like these aren't like extras that you can choose to do or not to do. There's laws and order. There's laws and principles that govern health. And when you break the laws, there's consequences, and they apply to everybody, not just some of us. And they apply all the time. So this isn't like a menu where you can choose, where you can say, "Hey, I want to detox, but I don't want to exercise." It's like, well, then you can't be healthy. So instead of thinking, how can I fix my sleeping issues? Or even worse, what can I take? What supplement can I take? Or what drug can I take to sleep better or have more energy? I got to fix my sleep. What can I take for sleep and for energy? You got to clear that thinking out. That's medical minded thinking. I've already talked about this. Medicine doesn't really work when it comes to getting healthy. So whether it's sleep, back pain, neck pain, digestive issues, blood pressure, let's think what's missing from my essentials? What is interfering? Because then when you remove the interference, you get your body back to a healing path. You give your body the fighting chance to be able to start to reconnect and do what it was made to do, which is have energy and sleep normally. Why was I not sleeping? Once I got introduced to the 5 essentials, it it wasn't hard to figure out when I had sleeping issues way back in the day. It was just a lack of the 5 essentials. So the answer is already inside of you. You've got this incredible power to heal, and the 5 essentials makes that come alive. So it's not just the essentials of health, but it's the essentials of sleep as well. And that's where we talk about this nervous system dysregulation. If you have sleeping issues, if you can't quite fall asleep, if you're feel like you need to wind down at night, you could very well be in sympathetic overdrive where it is just fight or flight all the time. It's the nervous system is being more and more recognized as the most important aspect of your body to keep healthy. It is It is the thing. It is the master control system of your entire body. So if you're stuck in a stress state, if you have high heart rate, if you have an overactive mind, irritable, moody, um, this is where the nervous system comes in. And these two different sides of the nervous system. And when I get to the tips, we're going to cover 15 sleep strategies and tips in just a few minutes here. And we're going to talk about how to keep your nervous system in the parasympathetic side as opposed to the sympathetic side. Sympathetic side is fight or flight. That's survival. That's threat detection mode. That's that stressed state. That's a bad sleeping tone of your nervous system. Parasympathetic, that's your rest and digest side. That's where healing and hormones and immunity is happening well, and sleep and your mood is stabilized. You feel good, you feel happy, you feel connected, you feel rested, and you can actually relax. And this increases with chiropractic adjustments because we're removing interferences to your entire nervous system, which is why we see all of those things start to improve, especially sleep. Sleep is the number one visceral issue that gets better when people start addressing their nervous system. So here we go. 15 tips. Get your pens ready. Hopefully you've been taking some notes and you have something to look back on. The idea is that you keep building on these things. And even if you were to just do, you know, 3 or 4 of the things that I'm going to list here, I guarantee it's going to increase your sleep. These are things that I've not just read about or learned about, but I've tried all of these things myself and I've noticed the difference. And so we're going to start with, there's no particular order here, but the one that I love to start with is so important. It's temperature. Temperature. I mentioned circadian rhythms. Your body temperature is on a circadian rhythm. It is working based on what time of day it is. And that temperature is intrinsically connected to your melatonin release, and it's intrinsically connected to cortisol and adenosine. And so you want to keep it cool. Typically, we've got things way too warm and we got to cool it down. Your brain needs to drop in temperature to initiate sleep about 2 to 3 degrees. That's why it's always easier, if you notice, to sleep in a room that's too cold than a room that's too hot. You ever go to a hotel room or you're at somebody else's home and it's like piping hot, and that just happens to be the night where you're still up at 3:30 in the morning. You just can't get sleepy. Um, that's me. I need it to be cold. So keep it cool in the home. This is where, like, you know, I know it's like men typically like cold on the thermostat. That's why they say, "Don't touch my thermostat," right? It's the whole dad thing. And women are okay with it being warmer. If that's the case, then in general, men are correct. You should have it cold, like kind of like really cold, if you want to sleep very deeply. So another dad move here is to say, don't heat the space, heat the person. Like, we're not making our house 73 degrees. Put a hoodie on, put some socks on. But we got to keep it cool in here because we need our adenosine sleep pressure to increase so our melatonin gets released at the right time and we can get into deep non-REM and REM sleep. I don't think the kids would understand that, but you get the idea. So how should we sleep? Well, sleeping naked kind of makes sense now, right? And maybe you're into that, maybe you're not into that, but it sort of makes sense. You want that temperature to be down. And the caveat there, which is interesting, if you sleep naked, you actually want to keep your feet warm because what the theory is that it'll coax the blood away from the core and towards the feet because the capillaries are opening up. So keeping your feet warm tends to help with core body temperature lowering so you can enter into deep sleep and stay into deep sleep. Just a little hack there. Also, taking a warm bath or a hot shower, um, and I think that's my next one here. Yeah, so taking a warm bath or a hot shower at night. Why is this? Well, then when you get out of the hot shower or the hot bath, your body temperature comes down. And it's that decreasing body temperature that stimulates melatonin. And your core body temperature plummets and then you get sleepy. And so if you're deciding whether you should shower at night or shower first thing in the morning, I would consider doing the shower at night because then you have this good melatonin stimulation from the temperature decrease when you get out of the shower. Just another hack. So that's number 2. Number 3, set the mood. What does that mean? Start to dim the lights. White light or blue light, they call it, actually blocks melatonin production, melatonin release. You're producing melatonin throughout the day. When you get that sunlight first thing in the morning, that starts the circadian clock to start producing melatonin, and adenosine starts building as the day goes on. So dim the lights about an hour before bedtime. I call it night vision at my house. It's like we'll have like all the lights on and it's after dinner and I'm like, "Oh no, no, no. These kids are going absolutely insane. We need to just cut the lights and get this thing darker." Just start to quiet things down. So actually quiet things down. Turn the TV down. Get the music down. Get your voice down. Turn off distractions. Simplify what the input is and the stimulation that's coming into your ears. If you have like, you know, several young kids, you're like, "Yeah, very funny, Dr. Mark." But you wanna, try to turn off the distractions. Slow down. Actually slow down. Slow down your movements. Slow down just how you go about things. Start to signal to your body from your external activity that it's going to be time to fall asleep soon. We wanna really hit that melatonin sleep pressure at the right time so that you feel super drowsy and you fall right asleep and you get into deep sleep. Another thing, read a book, not on your iPad, on Kindle. Read an actual book with paper pages. Um, studies have been done. Maybe it's unexplainable, but it activates the parasympathetic side of your nervous system better to read a book than reading something on a screen. And obviously, staying away from the blue light is going to help melatonin release and make it a routine. So start to develop a nighttime routine. And you could start at any time. Let's call it 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., I start my nighttime routine, and this is what it looks like. It has just all these different ways to calm your body and your brain down so that you can sort of coax your hormones into wanting to fall asleep. So setting the mood is number 3. And number 4, darken the room. And this goes further than just dimming the lights at 8 p.m. If you think about it, we are a dark deprived society. So before electricity, how did we get any light? We got it from candles, from oil lamps, and from fires. And fire just happens to trigger the same wavelengths as a sunset does for your eyes, which actually stimulates melatonin release. It's healthy to look towards a sunset for your eyes and for your circadian rhythms. Of course it is. It's all God made. It all integrates with our bodies, with nature to see a sunset, the color of the sun, that orange amber color of the sun when you look at it, and those wavelengths are going to help stimulate melatonin. This is why looking at a fire is so relaxing. It actually triggers parasympathetic nervous system to watch a fire because the frequencies and the wavelengths of that light are are exactly what triggers the same things that darkness does because it's innate. It's innate intelligence that when you're looking at a fire, it's nighttime and you should be getting to bed. So lighting candles as opposed to putting big lamps on. We have these amber light bulbs that I bought for my kids. So for their lamps in their room, it's this very low wattage uh, amber light bulb. I just bought them on Amazon. It's just so that the color is not bright white. So it's more of a sunset-like light. I got these amber night lights to put in the bathrooms. So if they have to get up to go to the bathroom, they're not flipping on this super bright 100-watt light that's going to end up really creating like a wakefulness in their eyes. It's going to stop their deep sleep so they can get back to bed, get back to sleep. So we've changed our perspective on darkness through all this. So the light bulb, iPad reading, it'll delay melatonin release by 3 hours. If you're looking at an iPad or if you're looking at your phone, if you're watching a Netflix show on your phone in bed, you are delaying deep sleep, and then you get less REM sleep and you feel less restored. Even if you fall asleep and you wake up at the same time, watching that Netflix show on your phone, right in front of your face like that, you are foregoing and giving up tons of REM sleep throughout the night. 3 hours is what's estimated. And the last hour before bed, switch off half the lights, and that's going to trigger melatonin. Again, call it night vision. And then in your room that you sleep in, blackout. Make it a blacked out sanctuary for sleep. That's the idea. No light coming in, no night lights, room darkening shades, invest in them if you don't have them. Make it as blacked out as possible, and you'll end up staying asleep better and getting deeper sleep. Next one, limit caffeine. We already talked about this, but here's the deal. Limit is the nice fluffy way to say it, but if you have sleeping issues and any of the cortisol conversation or the adenosine conversation sounded familiar to you, consider giving up caffeine, even just for a month. Consider just getting rid of it, eliminating it. Wean off of it with you can do that with green tea or even with half calf, which is like half decaf, I guess. I don't drink decaf, but what you need to know about decaf is it's actually still caffeinated. There's about it could be up to 10%, 3 to 10% of caffeine as regular coffee. So still, you don't wanna drink it in the late afternoon or the evenings. So my rule of thumb, no coffee afternoon. If you have sympathetic overdrive or bad adrenal patterns, take a month off from caffeine and just watch what happens. Just watch. Uh, yeah, that's all I'll say with that. Next, limit alcohol. So alcohol itself is going to turn to sugar. So you'll wake up, right? Have you ever had this? You drink wine at night, oh, and you feel like nice and you feel drowsy. You go to sleep, but then what happens? It ferments and it turns into sugar. So then you have this glucose spike and this insulin spike at like 2:30 in the morning. And now you're up at 2:30 in the morning with an insulin spike. And so that's never fun. That's not a good night's sleep. You're not hitting REM with that. In fact, people well, I'll get to this. So if you're a social drinker, let's say, so if you only drink on weekends or every once in a while or something like that, try just like with the caffeine, try taking a month off or 2 months off completely, not doing it, and just having no alcohol for a month. I have a friend who did sober October, right? So 0 alcohol for the whole month. Now this is interesting. He said the thing he noticed was he started having these really super vivid, detailed dreams, which means his body was finally getting into sleep, deep REM sleep. And what's crazy about sober October or whenever you've not allowed yourself to get into deep sleep for a long time, pressure builds up for dream sleep. So it's actually a REM sleep rebound effect, which is why the dreams become so vivid and deep and crazy when they first come back. It's like you get the dreams that you've been losing for the last several months and sometimes years when you take time away from what's interfering with your deep REM sleep, whether that's alcohol or caffeine. You might have a rebound of really great dreams or neurological interference. We start doing adjustments on somebody, we correct the C1 vertebra off of their brainstem, and they say, "What? Oh my goodness, I'm having crazy dreams all of a sudden." It's like, yeah, you've just had dream sleep has been building up and you haven't been able to release it. And finally, we released or helped you to release the pressure that was keeping you from getting into dream sleep. And now you're just having these wild, vivid dreams. We hear it all the time. So while some people use alcohol as a sleep aid, I had a roommate in college who would crack a beer every night just to help him fall asleep, or so he thought, but it was blocking him from getting REM sleep. So the whole idea of a nightcap does not work. It's a sedative, which does not produce natural sleep. Sedatives don't produce actual sleep. Lunesta, Ambien, sleep aids, those are sedatives. They don't They don't help you sleep. They actually just knock you out. You don't get deeper, more restful, or more rejuvenating sleep. It's actually the opposite. So, they're also very dangerous, those medications, and so is drinking alcohol. Work out in the morning. There was a study that found getting 150 minutes a week of moderate to vigorous exercise resulted in a 65% improvement in quality of sleep. Of course it does. Of course it does, because it's essential. It's the way our bodies were designed. We're designed to work out. We're designed to move our bodies and use our muscles and get our heart rate going. So when we don't do it, we're interfering with the body's normal processes. So then that interference creates symptoms, which are sleeping issues is one of them. So if you're not sleeping, uh, don't talk about Lunesta and Ambien and melatonin. If you're not sleeping and you're not exercising, you got to go exercise. Like, it's not an extra. Your body was made to exercise. And so especially when you exercise in the morning, you you actually start to stimulate and trigger even better hormone release throughout the day. I mean, animals in the wild sleep great. They don't they don't have insomnia because they're living according to the natural order. There's not anything interfering with their normal, natural, innate intelligence. And so while morning workouts are best for this, any time is second best. I would just say don't work out late at night because then you kind of might be feeding the beast of cortisol dysregulation. But if you're not exercising, or if you're not eating right, or if you're not getting adjusted, or if you're not conscious of toxins, like these are things that are these are no-brainers. These are softballs. Like, you gotta do the essentials if you want your body to work right. Exercise is usually that one where people don't link a lack of exercise to poor sleep, but you need to be exercising if you wanna sleep well. Number 8, put the phone down. Phones, laptops, tablets, the light from these inhibits melatonin production. Also, what fires together wires together, meaning it's gonna trick your brain into thinking that your bed is just another place to do work and get things done. You don't wanna reinforce that association. You want your bed and your bedroom to be, again, like I said, a sleep sanctuary. The thing that happens there, there's a couple things that can happen there, but you want sleep to be one of the major ones. Um, Retrain your brain so that you know that your bed is for sleeping. Sleep sanctuary is the idea. So put the phone away. The idea of putting the phone in the other room or on the other side of the room is fantastic because then you're not looking at it right in your face. You're not allowing that to distract you and screw up your sleep late at night or even in the middle of the night if you wake up. All right, we're moving here. We're doing good on time. Number 9, get sunshine. Get light into your eyes, especially in the morning, and it's gonna start that biological clock. The clock starts ticking when you get light onto your eyes. So, morning sunlight kicks off the production of melatonin. Evening sunsets also contribute to your biological clock, like we talked about. And vitamin D, getting actual sunlight on your skin. Vitamin D is vital for the production of serotonin and melatonin, both of which influence your sleep patterns. Like we said, that light comes in to the SCN, it goes to serotonin, gives you that energy, gives you that feel good happiness, and then the darkness gets you that melatonin. Now, what about sunglasses? Do sunglasses interfere with the hormone process? All the data that I'm seeing now is yes, they do. Um, if you have sunglasses on, you're actually tricking your body into thinking that the sun isn't out or the sun isn't hot, which is why, and this might be over the top for some of you, but when you wear sunglasses, it's been shown that your skin is more apt to burn from sunburns because the signaling, the innate signaling from the light onto your eyes is not happening to prepare your skin for the hot sun and the intensity of the sun. So sunglasses can actually interfere with hormone signaling and keeping your skin safe. Uh, So it's just something to consider. And if that is happening where your skin isn't getting the signal from from your eyes and your SC and your suprachiasmatic nucleus, then of course melatonin and that circadian rhythm can be affected by wearing sunglasses. So do I bring sunglasses if I'm going to the beach? Yes, I do. I've got light eyes, I got sensitive eyes. I wear contacts and I don't know, it's uncomfortable for me to not wear sunglasses at all. I think you can work your way up to that, and I have before, but I'll just allow myself to be sunglass free for a while, for let's call it 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll put the sunglasses on, but at least I got the that natural light into my eyes for some time. And some of you are gonna give me a bunch of crap. You're gonna say you should just ditch the sunglasses if it's better for you. I'm working on it. I'm just like you guys. I'm on this journey with you. Okay. Number 10, skip the late night snacks. Is that where we're at? Number 10. Yes. So ideally, don't eat during the final 2 hours before falling asleep. Now, the window, it seems, is that don't go to bed too full, but also don't go to bed too hungry. That's kind of the window that works best. Because if you go to bed too hungry, that can interfere with sleep as well, believe it or not. So diets that are high in sugar are going to be will be less deep sleep and it'll be more fragmented sleep. So you want to avoid sugary sweets, simple carbs like breads, juices, high glycemic fruits, even. So if you're going to eat at night, eat melatonin forming foods. So there's certain quality proteins that actually have melatonin precursors. So avocados, grass-fed whey protein, like our bone broth protein, fantastic for getting you into that melatonin forming um, state within your body. Um, Good yogurts, even with the protein in the yogurt, all are melatonin forming foods. So these are going to be safer to do at night if you're eating that. And it kind of weaves in with the advanced plan. So the advanced plan in your nutrition booklet, and this is the healing diet. It's designed to be more of a short-term plan. It's to reduce inflammation, restore your cell membrane function. It aids in detoxing, regulating hormones, promoting fat to be used as the body's main source of energy. So this is just for like you want to lose weight, you want to reverse disease, you want to detox. This is the type of diet that you want to be on. So if you've been having sleep issues and you're just not sure about your diet, I would say try out the advanced plan, at least the core plan, which is more of the maintenance plan to get you into towards the advanced plan. But this is eliminating the grains and the sugars and the bad carbs, replacing with healthier sweeteners, getting a good intake of proteins from good animal products, and increasing your healthy fats. And this will all help to get you sleeping better. Now, what can you take that actually influences sleep, not just sedation, but sleep? And you know, no supplement should replace the five essentials in any way, and no supplement should replace uh, eating good foods in any way either. And so I'd say don't even look at these supplements if you haven't decided to make those changes. Don't look at any of our supplements ever if you have not decided to make changes in your food. But some of these things can fill in the holes. They can really help you along the way. This combination here of magnesium glycinate and then glycine powder has been researched to really powerfully assist in you getting into deep non-REM sleep and REM sleep. I take these 2 every night, and it's made a good difference for me. I notice, a deeper sleep. I feel more rejuvenated in the morning if I take this. I take, um, uh, let's say it's 1,000 milligrams of glycine powder and 400 milligrams of magnesium, which is 4 capsules of the Max Living brand, which is a really high quality one. And it doesn't replace the other strategies, but it's supplemental to them. So the key is with sleep and supplements is you you first just want to make sure you have adequate levels of vitamins and minerals. So your adenosine works right. So your melatonin signals right. So your adrenals and cortisol patterns are on the right curve. Adequate levels of vitamins and minerals is the key. It's that baseline that gives you that fighting chance to be able to carry out functions in your body that are normal. That's where good sleep comes from. Not It doesn't come from supplements, but supplements can help you get what you need. So, like, if you need the basics and you're not sleeping well, and you know that you're not getting the basics, you're not sure if you're getting all the vitamins and minerals, the daily essentials packs are that's your no think solution to getting your basics done. Check that box. I know I'm getting all my vitamins and minerals. It's in a high quality way, proper methylated B vitamins, proper fish oil. That's the right type. It's clean. I'm getting the magnesium. There's magnesium in it, the magnesium glycinate, and then a multivitamin to just cover all my bases of the micronutrients that my body can do what it needs to do. Get your vitamins and minerals in to give yourself a fighting chance to improve your sleep. That's the bottom line there. These are not going to replace your essentials, though. And then it's consistent timing. Keep number 11, keep your sleep very regimented if you can. Going to bed and waking up at the same time, even waking up at the same time. And this is where that quote that we say a lot, which is my commitments are stronger than my feelings in this moment. My commitments are stronger than my feelings in this moment. I don't feel like getting up, but I've committed to waking up at the same time every day to reset my biological circadian clock so that all of my hormones and functions are restoring to normal innate intelligence. I'm committing to waking up at this time, even on Saturday, even on Sunday, even on my day off. And that's where, like, if you feel so tired, but you know you should get up because you're trying to make this switch, or you just know you want to get up and work out or something like that, there's the 5-second rule. Mel Robbins wrote the book. I think it's called the 5-second rule, which is just count down from five and just go without thinking. Five, four, three, two, one, boom. You just you throw yourself out of your bed and then you're up, and that's it. And you did it. And then you feel good because you did it. So count down from five if you need to. Um, and that's, well, what are your commitments? What are the ways you want to improve in your life? Sometimes we've got to do something hard and push through to get a habit going. And that keystone habit, what if I woke up 30 minutes earlier every day? What if I just woke up 30 minutes earlier and went to bed 30 minutes earlier? And I was able to get, a 5-minute warm up workout in, mostly for my mindset and just to get my body moving. I was able to make a great smoothie with good protein and fruits and even collagen or something like that. I was able to read my Bible or read something inspiring that got my mind right, but it got my heart right too, so that I'm able to take on, the kids getting up and dealing with mornings, getting them off to school. Dealing with it's great, but sometimes it's dealing with and dealing with some of the stresses early in the day. So, whose day would be better if you could cast a positive vision for your day from doing those things in the first 30 minutes? Everybody's day would be better. So, and then when you string a few good days together, you've just had a great week and you just won your week. And you string a few good weeks together and you just won your month. And of course, you string a few good months, a few good years together, and now you're a totally different person and you're changing who you are by changing your habits. Um, what did I hear? Heard the quotes. Hard to think your way into change, changing your actions, but it's a lot easier to act your way into changing your thoughts. So sitting around and saying, I'm a morning person, I'm a morning person, I'm a morning person, you can say it till you're blue in the face 5,000 times, but just getting up in the morning and jumping up out of bed 4 days in a row and you're gonna be like, I am a morning person. I believe it because I've done it. So take action. That's the key. And number 12, make your bed. That seems simple. Make your bed though. Your mom was right. 19% is the number. You get a study was done that you get 19% better sleep if you just make your bed, because sometimes it's easier to get into a bed that's made than a bed that's chaotic, and there's something about that it's the consistency of it that is routine, and there's safety there. um like when you go to another, making your bed it really just reinforces that this is the place to sleep and this is my place to sleep, and it's routine and it's always there, it's a constant. And so it triggers safety signals in your nervous system which allows you to even better release melatonin and start to drift off into sleep and stay asleep. Like animals in threat mode, they won't let themselves sleep. We were hunting just a couple weeks ago, and there was rain throughout the night, and that was bad because the deer couldn't be nocturnal. They couldn't do their nocturnal thing and then start moving around in the morning where we were in the blind ready to see them. So it changed their rhythms, because they had to be on high alert as opposed to doing whatever they needed to do. So, anyways, got off track there, but make your bed, okay? Make your bed. It's gonna help you out. Get adjusted regularly. What is that about? Well, keeping your nervous system in a balanced state, keeping your nervous system in a well-adjusted state helps you to maintain those rhythms, helps you to maintain that deep REM sleep, helps you to get into on a regular basis that deep REM dreaming, clearing, glymphatic flow state. Also, glymphatic flow and blood flow to the brain, if you have flexion in your neck, it's been said that flexion, which is forward head posture or reverse cervical curves, especially, it compresses and stretches your spinal cord. It causes stress on your entire nervous system to have a forward neck that is not curved properly. So flexion equals, well, it eventually equals death of tissues, specifically spinal cord tissue. It's called demyelination. The spinal cord will actually start to lose its conductivity over years, however long that neck is in that flex posture. And so extension or restoring cervical curve equals life, because what that does is it actually fattens up the spinal cord and makes it relaxed so that you can send those signals and the blood flow, through, so that you can clear the brain of those toxins and worries and everything like that. Uh, and the signals from the brain through the spinal cord to the body are more clear. So when people get their spine corrected, especially their cervical spine, and they start restoring their normal cervical curve, they start to sleep better. They start to feel more relaxed. They start to feel more clarity in their brain because they're not in this stretched and tensed flexion state. So getting adjusted regularly keeps you in that extended state. It keeps your spinal cord in that relaxed state, keeps the fixations off of your spine so you're not interfering with the nerves that are connecting to and from the brain, and you end up sleeping better. So getting adjusted regularly is on the list for sure. And this just shows again the power of an adjustment. Keeping you over on that right side, the parasympathetic side. That's this is why I get adjusted. This is why I get adjusted. I don't care so much how my posture looks or even how my x-rays look. I do care how my x-rays look, but I only care how my x-rays look because of this right here. Because good structure equals good function, and that parasympathetic side, I want that to be working well. I want that to be I want my body to be able to get into that level of balance and calm, so I'm sleeping great, so my energy's great, so I'm digesting great, so my hormones are great, my testosterone is up, immune system is on turbo mode, and I'm healing. That's the idea. That's why I get adjusted regularly. It's not for pain necessarily, it's for my nervous system. The next one is breathe. Many of us with sleeping problems, and we're coming down to the end here, guys. Hang with us. Many of us with sleeping problems, we've forgotten how to breathe. And that sounds crazy. Well, what do you mean everybody breathes? You die if you don't breathe. But a simple way to calm your nervous system is to just focus on your breathing and use not just mindfulness of your breath, but there's actually physiologically, it's called a physiological sigh, where you take 2 inhales. It's a double inhale through your nose, followed by a long exhale through your mouth, and that actually calms your nervous system. So if you are the type at night where you're reversing your cortisol curve, let's say, and you're like, "I still feel like I need to wind down at night," or I get in a fight with my son or my kids or my spouse, and then boom, I'm awake for 2 or 3 more hours. A way to re-trigger that calm and allow that sleep pressure to peak is do this double inhale followed by a long exhale. So I'll show you. So in through your nose twice, so and then re-inflate the rest of your lungs with one last one. And that actually inflates all of your lungs. You have these little things called alveoli at the very tips, the very outer parts of your lungs that will only inflate with that last inhale. And that's where CO2 is built up. And so if you can double inhale, ideally through the nose, and do an extra one there, that gets all the way out. So then the CO2 gets released on the exhale and you start to feel calm. It's like you're detoxifying your lungs. And so this is something that we can all do to regulate our nervous system. I actually teach my kids this. I think it's important to teach your kids how to regulate their nervous systems. But this is a great one to do if you have sleeping issues and you need to calm yourself down. So double inhale, long exhale, all the way out. Calms you down, gets you back on track for falling asleep. Well, it didn't work for me, doc. Okay, do it like 5 more times and then tell me how it worked. It works. It works. Number 15, choose the right sleeping position. People always ask, "Well, how should I sleep?" Sleep the way that you need to sleep to get deep sleep. In my opinion, sleep is more important than um, physically how you are contorting your body. However, ideally, you're supporting your neck, you're supporting your spine. The best position to sleep in, the absolute best would probably be on your back, head touching the bed, and the cervical roll underneath right here. So you have like right underneath here, you've got that the neck roll. On your side is also great as long as you have a pillow that is dense enough to support your head and your neck. So I use a memory foam pillow that's thinner, but it's dense. And so that for me with my shoulders, with my body type, and with the mattress that we have, that works for me to be able to sleep on my side. But I try to switch sides because there is some literature out there that your shoulder and your hip joint, if you sleep on the same exact side for decades, it can show some degenerative changes in those joints. Just so you know. Um, if you're a side sleeper, obviously you're not going to be able to use the rolls. So I actually keep the roll nearby and I'll lay on it at the beginning of the night to again get my neck into extension because extension is life and flexion is death. I want to get into extension, allow that flow, allow my spinal cord to relax. And if I wake up super early for whatever reason, I still have an hour left of sleep that I want to get, I'll grab the roll, I'll lay on my back and I'll put it there. But I'm not sleeping on my rolls throughout the entire night. So what do I use? I use the Dena roll for my cervical curve, which is a harder roll that's designed very specifically. There's a ton of research put into it. There's a lot of weird ones on Amazon. Made a post on Facebook about that. You should read that. They don't get the same X-ray changes as a as a scientifically proven researched product. So we only are going to recommend products with research and evidence. The Denerol from CBP, Chiropractic Biophysics, that works for that. So that's what I use for my laying on the back. You don't do that for 3, 4 hours. You only do that upwards of 20 minutes. You work your way up from about 3 minutes up to 20 minutes, and that helps to maintain and even increase cervical curve. So if you have questions about that, you can come to us. We can get you fitted for a Denerol. All right. So what are your action steps? Well, you got those 15 tips. You want to go with the 15 tips. And then if you have not gotten adjusted in a while, if you're on here and you're like, I used to get adjusted and I stopped for some reason, come on in, get an adjustment. So simple. Doors are open. We've got people that come in and out throughout the years for whatever reason. We see that all the time. If you haven't gotten an adjustment, if you're dealing with sleeping issues, if your nervous system is stressed, if you're having pain problems, come back in to get adjusted. We're here for you. We'll check you out, keep it really simple, get you back under care. If you know somebody that's like, okay, that person needs to be adjusted. My friend, my family member, my sister, my brother, they live in town, They live in West Michigan somewhere. Our average drive time is about 35 minutes one way, just so you know. So I had someone say, well, they would come to you, but they live all the way out in Alto. It's like all the way out. That's not all the way out. We have people driving from way further than that to get the type of chiropractic that we're doing here. So, so just know, we have all these opportunities. Obviously, if you're looking to just get them in the office, just help them get referred. You've got one of the cards you can give them. If they need more information, if they want to meet me or meet one of us, um, keep on the lookout for the Dinner with the Doc event. We do the dinners at Uccello's. I love doing those. We just talked about these the other day. Why do we keep doing these dinners 10 years in? We don't have to do these dinners in terms of getting more patients. We do the dinners because we meet people that really, really need help at these dinners because they're uncertain. They've been to a lot of doctors, they've dealt with a lot of stuff, they've been given the medications and the symptom treatments, and they've done the medical merry-go-round for such a long time that they're just a little bit skeptical. And that's totally great. I love that. I was a skeptic too. And so we give an opportunity to ask questions, to hear about what it is that we do, hear about the philosophy, meet us, find out that we're real people. You know, we might be a little weird, but we're not super weird. We're only a little bit weird. And if they can deal with that, then great. And then obviously they get into the office and they can get their lives changed and they can, again, find a way to opt out of the medical merry-go-round because there's something to opt into that's a system of living where we're going to support them and guide them through. Okay. So keep on the lookout um, for those dinners. Here's your 30-day challenge. Got a 30-day challenge for you to get amazing sleep. So you want to write these down. If you want to do the challenge, post your results, post your struggles and your successes on the motivation group. Number one, unplug 30 minutes before bed. No phones in the bedroom. None. Number two, black out your sleep sanctuary. Commit to getting the darkening shades, getting rid of night lights and all of that. Number three, wake up at the same time each morning. Find your wake up time that you know is the time that you can do 7 days a week. Figure that out over this next month. Number four, lower the bedroom temperature. Pick a temperature, go lower, go even lower, go even lower, and see how you do. You're going to sleep better. I know you are. Make your bed every morning. Just do it. 19%. The research proves. Just do it. Limit or eliminate caffeine. I think you know whether you're on the limit side or if you're on the eliminate side. Follow your heart on that one. Number seven, no sugar or alcohol within 2 hours of bedtime. And then exercise 10 minutes a day. We all have 10 minutes. Just get it done every day. 10 minutes and watch how you sleep. Take magnesium glycinate and glycine. 400 milligrams magnesium, 1,000 milligrams glycine. It's going to support deep sleep. And number 10, get adjusted. All right. Guys, this has been awesome. Talking about sleep with you is so cool. It is so much fun to talk about this. I say fun. There was nothing fun about this when I was going through my severe insomnia. Nothing fun about this. I sympathize with you. If you deal with sleeping problems, I want to help you. I want to help you as much as possible. And if going through this 30-day challenge and following the 15 steps that we talked about, if you still, you won't, you're going to sleep great. You are going to turn this around. And maybe it takes longer than a 30-day challenge because I mean, it can take months sometimes to turn over cells and hormones and actually heal. But if you still are completely hitting a wall, don't give up. Talk to us. What we didn't get into during this webinar is the deep toxifying things, the things that I went through that kept me awake, the deep, deep toxins that can cause limbic impairment, that can cause stress responses that are over and above what you can do with these things. But you got to start with these things. And if I knew these things back then, I probably could increase my sleep by a lot, even during the crap storm that I was going through. So I just want to encourage you, you can heal. Your body was made to heal. Your body was made to sleep. Your brain was made to calm down and drift into deep, deep sleep for 7 to 9 hours. That's what you were made to do. So it's just about chipping away at removing those interferences to allow your brain and body to get to that natural order state so that you can sleep, you can get rejuvenated, you can get your life back. We're here to help you. Our posture here is to be helpful. Want to be helpful to you, want to be helpful to your family members, and we are here for you. Come to us, utilize us. It might seem like we're busy or like we've got a lot of things going on, but the main thing that is going on is helping you individually. That's what we exist for. So come to us, bring us your struggles, bring us your successes, bring us your questions. And here's the deal. Here's the deal. Over over the next few weeks, if you have more questions, post them on the comments of this video. Our doctors are going to be checking in, including myself. We're going to be checking in on this post, and we're going to be answering questions for you and giving you some tips and tools. And if need be, I'll do a bonus round of a few slides of some things that I had to cut out of this anyways for time purposes. And speaking of time purposes, it's 10 o'clock. I think it's time that we all go to bed. So have a great night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, and we'll see you for your next visit. Take care.